Welcome back to Realize Your Potential with Mike and Travis. We are in the middle of a great series on managing your mindset. So thank you guys for joining us. And we want to make sure before we start talking about this, like, share, and subscribe. And Mike, what should they also do?
Make sure you're making comments, trying to engage in conversation, share, all that good stuff you just mentioned.
All that. So we're going to jump now. Last week we talked about managing your mindset, the introduction there, and we gave examples of things that could really get in your way and told some little private stories about ourselves, about what got in the way of us being successful. So we're going to talk now a little bit about solutions. I'm in that mindset. I need to identify it and then I need to get myself out of it. So let's talk about it. So Mike, what do you usually talk about when it comes to that, or how do you get yourself out of it, or how do you coach your clients through that?
Sure. Start to explore sort of what goals you're trying to achieve and what that looks like, and then explore again core values, core beliefs, and try to figure out what's getting in the way. Is it maybe someone has a rigid mind space about it, or if they're open, cool, let's explore that in terms of solutions that is tied to how they exist day in and day out, right? Which is tied to our core beliefs, our core values, and our experiences, and so how do you move them towards that with, things that they think about day in and day out? So another, and we didn't talk about this before, Travis, but another thing to consider as a potential solution is having a mantra, right? Which could be tied to your goals, tied to your beliefs, and moving along. So, but for me, that's what it would be, and or just a particular approach that I might take. So,
yeah, I like that.
What about you? What does that look like for you?
So I think the biggest thing for me is when things are not going my way, I have learned to stop and check my mindset. If I'm in an argument with somebody, or I'm fighting back and forth, or my numbers aren't where they want there to be, where I want them to be, there can be outside factors that are getting in the way. Absolutely. But I have a piece of that. I have a part in that, and typically my mindset is not in the right place. So either I'm lacking confidence about something, I am overconfident about something, I am too judgmental, I am not giving something the care that it deserves, I'm not engaged enough in that moment. I might be too engaged with that moment. I might be overly engaged and taking things too seriously. But there is something going on inside of my mind which is stopping me from reaching my potential in that specific category, whether that's something as simple as my relationship with my family and how I interact with them, my kids and my wife, right? Or it could be something work-related where I didn't land a deal, or I landed this deal, but it's not going as fast as I want it to go, right? And so I think the first step is always looking at if something is not going the way you want it to go, that's probably an opportunity to examine your mindset. And then I guess, introspection is huge, right? And I don't think we do that enough. I think we as a society have been taught that if something is not going the way we want it, it's because somebody else did something to me. Instead of it being maybe I'm not doing the things that I need to do as effectively as I could, right? So I think that's kind of my first step, right? the second piece of that is, okay, now I've identified it. How do I get through it? And for me personally, when I'm going through stuff, like I've got a perfect person to call. I got Mike, right? So you guys need to find a Mike, or you can get Mike by going to www.realizingnow.com, right? But no, I have a Mike, right, where I can reach out and I can go, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Like, am I seeing this situation appropriately, right? And that could be personal, that could be business wise. And one of the things I know about Mike and I respect about Mike is that he's not going to just tell me what I want to hear, right? He's going to be respectful of my feelings, but he's also going to say, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have said that, or you probably should do this, or have you thought about looking into that, right? And so I think it's always having a good trust circle around you. And I'm lucky because I have done the work to find a bunch of people in my trust tree. My current boss is JM, is someone that's in that. My wife is my first stop, right? I've got other friends and companions that I reach out to that I keep in that loop, you know, that are just people that I can reach out to and go, hey, here's how I'm feeling. Here's what I'm thinking. Like, what insight do you have? Like, how much of this is on me and what can I do to fix the situation, right? And sometimes what I love about the feedback that I get is that sometimes they'll say, your feeling about this situation is absolutely correct. You're right. That's unfair. This is unfair. That's not right. What are you going to do about it? Right? Like, so are you going to live in the fact that it's unfair and that it's wrong or that it's broken? Or are you going to change that scenario? Right? And I think that's really the first stop, is having people inside of your life that you trust. A trust circle. Anthony Barnes, one of my best friends out there, Ron Fletcher, you know, these guys who've had success in their own right, who I can reach out to, who I can give them a document that I'm writing and have them tear it up, write all over it, and give me feedback, right? Like, that's what you need, is you need a feedback loop in your life.
And I'll share an example that happened no longer than about 16 minutes ago. Is before we started recording, I was like, Trav, give me some feedback, man. Like, I feel like when I'm having conversations or I'm coaching or I'm teaching something, or even if I'm leading something, like I have a sense of when I can see people, their body language start to sort of not check out, but but they do things that's an indication to me that, yo, you're droning on, dude. So, like, you know, I asked Travis, I was like, hey, man, you know, your experience of me, like, what? Like, I feel like sometimes I'm droning on. That's something I want to get better at. Like, I'm focused on it. I want to manage my mind space around it and mindset around it to really be effective, you know? And then, Travis, you said what?
Well, I gave you very direct feedback about what I thought, right? I think, and my feedback was, it was being aware of the way that you were feeling, but I also was honest about the way that I perceive your communication, and other people could perceive it too. But I also hoped that the feedback was empowering to you, because I think that why you were asking is actually one of your best traits, which is you are mindful and thoughtful about the things that you say. And you want people to understand what you say so that they can take away the goodness that you've produced. And I think at times, sometimes you can just say what you feel and people will need to receive it the way that they receive it, right? And so part of it was feedback to answer your question, but I hope it was inspiring to say, yeah, you know what, like, yeah, I have earned the right to give my feedback in X type of way. And that can be really, it can be tough to ask for feedback, and it can be tough to receive feedback, right? Because the people in your corner, you always want them to be a champion for who you are. Like, we have this natural human instinct to want to impress the people around us, especially the people who matter to us the most, right? Some people have that and they want to impress everybody, right? But most of us, that just applies to like our inner circle, and we care about what they think more than anything, right? And so sometimes when they give us feedback, you might get defensive, not because you don't appreciate what they're doing, but you might get defensive because you don't want them to have a negative perception of you. And you got to get that out of your way. If you
And
want to grow your mindset, you got to get that out of your way.
and let me talk about that specifically just for a quick second. That
Yeah, absolutely.
is having introspection around when I get feedback, no matter who it is, do I always have this feeling like questioning it, right? Rather than
Mm-hmm.
exploring, oh, there might be some truth to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in that in itself, there's opportunity to sort of be thinking about, am I receiving this? Or when I get feedback, is my mind space always rigid? Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I most times
Yeah.
closed off, or am I open and looking for growth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that really the key to it, right? Like where did my mindset begin?
Vulnerability. Yep.
Right, yeah. And am I open to it? And if you really want to have true success, you are going to fail. Failure is a part of it. It is the lesson that we get from life. If you are afraid to fail and therefore afraid to assess that failure with those you care about the most, that's a you problem. You've got to fix that. That is not everyone else's problem. You have to understand that you are not right all the time, that even you are not the expert about everything, even in the stuff that you're an expert about. There are other people who may have insight that can help you. And so having the mindset that I'm going to be open to feedback is the best way to get yourself out of negative mindset traits, because they're going to give you tips that you can take and turn into action that lead to success. And that's what we're all looking for, is how do we get better each and every day. I really want to take this conversation though, Mike, to the last part of it, which is, okay, I don't like getting into a negative mindset, right? And I think we talked about this before, right? When we were preparing for the show, is it's not necessarily that you're never going to go down in the valley, right? There's going to be something negative that happens to you that's going to get your mindset off. It's is that valley going to run like this? So you're in that valley for a really long time, or are you going to be able to go down, go a little bit, and then go back up, right? But what are some of the things that you maybe coach some of your clients with, or that you use for yourself, that stop you from getting into that mindset?
I think just having a lot of what I'm going to say is going to sound super simple, but it's truly, how do you have self-awareness around how long you've been in a funk, or how long you've been in a valley, right? And so it's having conversations about that and exploring that and assessing, hey, do you feel like you've been there too long? And if so, historically, what are things that you've done to pull yourself out of, right? So it's trying to mine these things from folks that we all naturally are able to get ourselves out of. So like, I know, just for me, what helps me get out of that valley is talking to people, engaging with people, that sort of energizes me. Another thing is making sure that I'm working out, making sure that I'm eating healthy, giving my kids time and space when I get home from work to give them love and all of that jazz, which puts me in a much better mind space, and that's what I would be exploring with people, is like, what keeps your bucket full, what keeps you in a positive flow in regards to your thoughts and your thinking, and yeah, and just staying emotionally at a higher level in regards to what might be defined as a low peak, not a low peak, but a low valley, right?
Man, that's a Mikeism you guys better put in there. You better put that in your arsenal, right? What keeps your bucket full? That's a perfect way to put it, right? And for each person, that's going to be really different. And Mike outlined it really, really well there for you guys. This was yet another stellar episode. I mean, woo! Play it back, rewind. There's a lot of good insight in here that will help you. And I think I'd love to see some comments about what things get in the way of your mindset. Like, what have you dealt with? And then also, what are some of the things that you use as tips to get yourself out of that valley and make sure that it's not a long canyon, but it's just a little dip that you can bounce back out. We'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to be able to have people take tips from each other. So once again, thank you for the support. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment, like Mike said, because we want to create this community and continue to foster it. We're going to jump in next week with some the first part of our amazing guests. Woo! It's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. Yeah. So don't miss next week.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and just to add to the ending, that the things that we're talking about and the solutions that we're giving is at around, 25,000 feet, right? So we're hoping, again, to put together some documents that'll take us down to ground level, take you down to ground level in terms of really exploring and unpacking some of this stuff for you to really start to come to solutions for yourself. So just want to put that out there. I think that's it. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, you nailed it. You don't have to say nothing else. You just dropped the mic right there.
I'm done.
Everybody, man, have an amazing week, and can't wait to see you guys next week. Take care.